Welcome to the New World Order Showcase Podcast. Your host, Jill Hart, the Coach's Alchemist. Couldn't be more excited to have you join us today. On this podcast, we celebrate the champions of change, the up-and-coming life, health and transformational coaches who are fearlessly stepping forward to make a difference in the world. Get ready for inspiring stories, practical tips, and powerful moments that will motivate you to make a positive change in your life and those around you. We're happy to have you join us on this incredible journey as we dive into the world of life, health, and transformational coaches who are lighting up the path towards a better tomorrow.
Hello, and thanks for joining us today on the You World Order Podcast Showcase. Today, I'm pleased to welcome our guest, Rhonda Johnson, aka Rhonda Jay, businesswoman, limitless human being, and owner of Limitless Empowerment with Rhonda Jay. Welcome, Rhonda.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for taking the time today. I appreciate it.
Awesome. I'm so excited for this episode and our conversation. So why don't you just jump right in, introduce yourself, tell us your journey to this point, and tell our listeners what's so intriguing about living a limitless life.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, thank you so much for that. Again, my name is Rhonda Johnson, aka Rhonda Jay. My business name is Limitless Empowerment with Rhonda Jay, and it is geared mainly to women learning how to take better care of themselves, address their needs, address their feelings, and giving those feelings a voice and then taking action. I have found just in my personal journey with being a card-carrying people pleaser that I fall last on my list a lot. And that's not just by happenstance. That's a lot of things come with that. Just how we're raised, what we see, what we say we want to experience. And I'm at a place in my life at a nice tender age of 46 and 3/4 where I'm seeing that people pleasing has its place, but as I go forward in life, it's time to take care of myself the same way I want to take care of others. And in going on that journey, I have found that I really didn't put myself first for many reasons at all, and I wanted to change that dynamic in my life before something made me change it. A crisis made me change it. So this is actually a pivot from where I was before. I'm in mental health. I went to Liberty University. I got my first master's in human counseling services and marriage and family. I am now back in school, Walden University, to actually pursue the dream, become a therapist. So mental health is a serious passion of mine. And so that's what I was doing before my business. Then with COVID, I had to pivot. And so I moved to the space of self-care because I just felt like, along with everything else with the pandemic, a lot of people were realizing I'm on the wrong path, either career-wise or personally, but definitely personally. We're doing a lot for other people. And then when a pandemic, right? I don't know about anybody else. But I was like, we're living in a pandemic. Like, what is this, a History Channel?
I have some alternate reality.
It was crazy town, right? I was like, what? And it was what I started to see because I was doing my practicum and internship at the beginning of COVID was the fear everybody had. I mean, those of us that I was doing, for my practicum, I would go into the homes of mothers. And we couldn't do that anymore. And some places we were the only support system a lot of the low income, minority, multicultural mothers had. And so when that stopped, gosh, y'all, it was like the growth of the children stopped. The mother's mental health and wellness stopped. Their support stopped. The food stopped. And so I carry that message into now where I'm like, we have to take care of ourselves, but we also, once we take care of ourselves, we also have to build that connection, that support community. We have to keep that going because, like I was saying, with COVID, like in the blink of an eye, everything can change. Yeah. So that's what made me really realize that, one, I had a message of my self-care journey to share. and I also have a responsibility to pay it forward. So that's kind of how I
yeah,
got here.
that's really, really wonderful. And yes, when you think about such a traumatic event that it was for all of us going through something like that,
Sure.
when
Yeah.
everything tends to, it stopped and we're kind of all just like, okay, what do we do now?
Mhm.
And I think a lot of the times, like, yeah, okay, we were protecting ourselves and we were, you know, doing what we had to do health wise and for our families and things like that. It's like, what do we do now? And I think for me, at least, you know, I was kind of lost because I didn't know what to do with myself. So I was like, well, I'm going to try and focus on my health because that's the only thing I can control right now. There's, you know, there's nothing
Mhm.
else. You know, obviously we Skyped and we Zoomed our families and we, you know, and you know, things came out of that. But I think out of that came a lot of awareness, right? Do you find that sometimes people tend to not take care of themselves because they feel like some sort of like a guilt, like if I do something for myself, that somehow that means that I'm not there for somebody else. Is that something that is a
Yeah.
reality?
Yeah. Well, I think it's a version of reality. I
Yeah.
think that we have been taught that the two can't exist in the same place. The two can't be true at the same time, which is I can take care of myself and take care of others. I think that comes from a lack of intentionality, a lack of mindfulness, where it's like, well, it's coming from, it's either one or the other. If I'm taking care of myself, it's to the detriment of others. And if I'm taking care of them, it's to the detriment of myself. That's not true, but it takes strategies. It takes planning. It takes being mindful about um, what you will give and what you won't give. The guilt part rather is a little harder to unpack because um, it's just, I think it just, I don't know whether it comes with the territory of being a woman. I don't know what it is, that it's sort of like a woman, you know, one of the cultural narratives is like a woman is like a sacrificial lamb anyway, you know, and one that doesn't, be it you're a mom or like in my situation, I'm a daughter taking care of a parent. If you don't do that, you are a bad person. And I'm debunking that myth for myself and hopefully for others. It says you can take care of others. Yes, it means saying no. Yes, it means maybe having some hard conversations about boundaries, but it's something that we have to do because another motivation of mine is I'm seeing so many people, um, 50, 46, where it's like health problems, especially relative to stress,
Mhm.
mental health problems, physical health problems, where it's like, okay, and that's what I was talking about before you reach that crisis point, you coming to a point in your life where you're like, okay, I need to make some changes. I mean, I think once it's time, it starts affecting your heart and your brain and things like that, you're in this really, I mean, I'm not saying you can't change it. I'm just saying you're in a place where you've got to make some serious hard decisions, like right now, probably yesterday, you know.
Right.
And I think that's part of it, that once you realize that you can take care of yourself and you can take care of other people at the same time without the pressure of, you know, burnout, health problem, anything like that, you just have to make that intentional. You have to be intentional about that. And like I said, the guilt comes, you just get used to it and start learning how to move through it.
Yeah. And I think, you know, particularly personally, wife, mother, daughter, sister, you know, we tend to, as a demographic, be pulled in like a million different directions. And, you know, and I think people unintentionally probably put that pressure, right? Because they're in different stages of your life. Like, I try
Mhm.
and remember when my mother was my age and she was raising teenagers and she was carrying a household and she was a wife and she was a, a young wife and a young mother and a daughter who like lost her mother, like, you know, all the things. And I try and relate to that. And now seeing her react to certain things now where she's a grandmother and she's not in a pivotal maternal role anymore. It's changed. So having her, you know, sometimes unintentionally give that pressure, Like, we don't really get to see you, or we really don't get together that often, or this. And in my mind, I sit back and I say, don't you remember how crazy it was? Like when you were raising us and it was, and this and that. Um, and she's so much at a wiser point now in life because she's giving me like the older version, and she's taking care of herself like she didn't used to. And I imagine what a positive that would be if we start grasping that earlier in our lives, right?
Mhm.
So if I already had those strategies earlier, how many breakdowns
Right.
per se, you know what I mean, that maybe I wouldn't have had, or maybe situations I would have had. And it's okay to have like little down moments, but like I would have been able to deal with them maybe a little bit better. But the pressure and the stress of trying to be everything to everybody, personally, I imagine that's across the board for many women, and we all have different circumstances. I can imagine that that's extremely stressful and unhealthy.
It is.
So how can I really take care of others if I'm not healthy?
Mhm. You can't. That's the reality of the
Yeah.
situation. Interestingly, I recorded, and I love technology because I recorded it and then it went splat, an episode on this. So this is really helping me craft that episode again. And I go to record it. You can't. I mean, like you really can't. We have to let go of that idea that you can. It's just not possible. And I say that because every I feel like we do that because it's like we don't want people to know how vulnerable we are. We don't want people to know how stressed out and burned out we are. But they know. They know. They know that the attitude isn't the same. They know that your energy and your vibe isn't the same. So whatever we're trying to hide from them, they already know. Some people just, okay, oh, okay. Well, now Casey's having a low moment today, or I'm not going to bother her. She sounded a little crazy today, or well, a little off today, or whatever. But I think we do that because we think that other people don't notice, and we feel they don't notice to say anything. It keeps up that layer and that level of invincibility.
Yeah.
And I'm like, as invincible as you feel, you're also invisible. And when we don't allow others to see, we're not vulnerable enough to allow others to see where we really are, we miss out on the interconnectedness, right? We miss out on ways where people can help us be better mothers, right? And just maybe, and maybe just help us be better mothers by relating their stories to us, or just being that person who can create that safe space. This is a person I can go to and tell them, okay, today it just sucks, and here's why. And I know this person is not going to say something like, the things we say that talk, I call it toxic positivity. Well, at least your kids are healthy and fed. Well, yeah, they're healthy and fed, but I'm over here on the floor. So I'm glad for them.
Right.
Yay for the kids. But I mean,
Right.
they can't be healthy and fed and I'd be okay too. And it's important to share that message that it is mandatory for you to be okay, for the kids to be healthy. Right. Because part of my whole thing in school that I'm just, it's funny how you just come across things in your life and you're like, this is what I want to do. I'm not a mother, but I studied maternal health because I'm big on attachment. And I've seen how maternal mental health as young kids. So I was working with kids when I was doing the home visiting before COVID. They were at the most 2 years old. And you could see the effect of the mother's stress on the child. Mm-hmm. And because I was in mental health, they were like, well, I have this and I have that. And I'm like, like trying to self-diagnose. I said, I don't know. I really don't know what you have. That's not why I'm here. But I'm just seeing how you react to stress and your child reacts to you. And, could be problematic, okay? Because if we don't put in things here for you as a mother, supports, therapy, group therapy, something, your child is already on a path. Your child is already, and real talk, your child's already in a minority. So to me, it's like they're looking at the child anyway. And so if the child comes in not able to emotionally regulate, not being emotionally resilient, any type of behavior like that, it's going to be very hard to get them out of that path once they're on it. And so what I began to realize is I said, these are mothers who are like, as long my kid is fed, my kid is good. I'm not, but I'm okay. It's like the child picks up on that. The child is, I mean, I had a project this summer and I was looking at that. It's like the child is already picking up on your stress and reacting to it. They may react with anger. A lot of children shut down and isolate. Okay. So to the mothers, that's what I'm saying. It's like, you don't want your child, just the same way, like I was saying earlier, the adults see it, the children feel it. And they feel it from a child's point of view. What did I do to mom? Mom's mad at me. So how do I, already at that young age, you're trying to figure out how you sidestep that. Maybe through people pleasing, maybe through anger, maybe through isolation. You see what I'm saying? Isolating yourself from that person, isolating yourself from others. So it's a whole thing when we don't take care of ourselves. It's just that drop that has that ripple effect through our families and through society. So it's so important to take care of yourself as a mother.
Yeah, I was literally just going to say that it sounds like it's such a ripple effect, because when it affects one portion, it's just going to flow into other portions of your life. And you're right, when you think that you're hiding it, or you think that you're masking it, or you're pretending that you're, maybe stronger than maybe you want to admit that you are, or let other people know that you're admitting that you need help, or, that's somehow a deflating feeling. It's like, I can't do everything, and I can't let everybody know that I can't do everything. So I'm going to try and do everything. I'm going to stress myself out, and I'm going to make myself sick. It's just like this cycle. Yes. And then when you really think about it, especially if you are a mother, those things are being watched by your children. They're watching you, and they don't have the perception to kind of say, Mom, why are you acting like this? They're internalizing that. So we don't, we tend to not realize that those are the, we think that, okay, well, I'm not going to yell and scream, and I'm not going to be, a tyrant, and I'm not going to curse, and I'm not going to do these, that those are the only things that their absorption, right? Children just absorb everything from the moment that they're born, even before that, I believe, in the womb, I believe, that's why they had us listen to music and, and things like that. But it just, why wouldn't that change? Like, if we were having them like that in the womb, why wouldn't we carry those practices on after? And it does, it affects you. And how can I pretend to be okay when I know I'm not? And I think it's important to have a good support system and a way to navigate through those feelings and be like, okay, today I'm feeling really overwhelmed, I'm on edge for whatever reason, and be okay and admitting, like, I need to step back a little bit. And maybe today I can't take these calls A, B, and C. And be okay with that. That doesn't mean that you're a failure.
Right.
To release yourself. And I think that's a really wonderful tactic that you have and that you bring forward to, like, work on those things, because there's so many things in the world that people are already struggling with that are beyond their control. Mm-hmm. Right? So this is something that you can control. And society these days just want to kind of like dump you with pharmaceuticals. That's mostly what they want you to do. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure that if a child is reacting to a certain way that their parent or their mother is, it could be assumed that they have some sort of disorder, whether it's a mental disorder or, something like that. It's so quick. And if we just all just sit back, let's just sit back and take a breath. And I think that's really miraculous. So who are really who you're trying to target here to help with these processes and these resources to help through? Why don't you talk about, like, who you're trying to help here?
Well, I'm actually looking for more of an age range, because it's more a level of receptivity, so that you understand a person probably between like 30 and 60. I feel 30, you're starting to get that awareness, like, wait, what's happening? You're starting to become more aware of, what you want in life. I think your ideas and your values are really starting to formulate and take root. Mothers, career women, those who identify as people pleasers. Okay. So I sound like I'm talking to every woman, but it's a level of awareness. I know it's kind of vague, but it's a level of awareness where you understand you want to take better care of yourself because you want to be a better mother. You want to be, and if you're a career woman, you want to be better at your career. You probably have a sense of feeling disconnected, maybe feeling anxious a lot, not sleeping very well, maybe depression. And I say that in the sense of the things that you used to take pleasure in, you don't take pleasure in anymore. And you're looking for a way to connect with yourself and relax. That's where I am there. I want you, like, my big thing is journaling. That's like, I'm big into creating digital content. That's another one of my pivots. And one of them is journaling, because I want to stop that chaos in your mind, all those thoughts running around, and have a place where you can see the thoughts, and you can do so. It's just you. So it's like a judgment-free area where you're like, you can look at those thoughts and say, oh, that's kind of a bad way to think. And then become aware of it and say, okay, what are some good next steps? Okay. And though there are products that I sell for that as well. Just real talk. I like to get back into coaching for that reason. I think that support will be good. Time is not allowing for that right now, but that's something eventually that I want to get into. So I hope I may need to drill down a little bit more on my audience, but those are the main people. Yeah, those are the main people I'm looking for. And that's what I said. Mine's more of an age range, which is kind of a wide range, but
that also, I think that's good, because I think that they're over the age of where, their minds and their bodies are technically and biologically matured at that point, right? And now most are self-sufficient enough and responsible for their own lives, because most of them, are out of their parents' house by that point, maybe starting new families, like you said, new mothers. So there's that whole new shift of almost like you're in another stage of your life, right? And how to navigate through all these things that are going to be thrown at you. And I remember one time I used to, I don't know, maybe it was my first house or could have been my first marriage. I don't know. And I remember saying, like, when does it end? Like, something was happening with the kids, something was happening with work. And, maybe I lost my job. I can't remember. It was an outlying event that had happened. And I remember there was like a number of things that had happened. And I just remember crying to her. And she was like, I was like, when does it stop? When does it, like, when do you ever just, and she was like, honey, it doesn't stop. It doesn't ever stop. There's always going to be something. So you have to learn and grow from each thing. And of course, you listen to your mom, like, yeah, okay, mom, like, like,
right.
But in hindsight, when I wish I would have listened years and years ago, because I'm 44, not much younger than you. And I'm at 44 going, I'm still like, what the heck? Like, how, I feel like I should be seasoned in this, like, but that's not because I don't have the proper ways of dealing with things or getting through things and things like that. Have you found that people are either, one, in denial that something's going on, or two, they're having trouble admitting that they can't be everything for everybody and please everybody? Do you see it as one or the other, or both, or is it something totally different? I'm just curious to see, like, how people's minds, because it's fascinating to me how everyone's minds work.
I think the more I dip into this subject, the more I'm like, it is an American dictate, and then your specific culture has a lot to do with it, how it's shaped. And I think it's baked in, right? I call it, one of my friends posted something in July. I had a little series on my personal page and my business page about hustle versus alignment. And so the word hustle is, diametrically opposed to taking care of yourself. Like, it's like, how do you do it? And so it's like, you can't, like, you have to make a conscious decision whether to hustle or align with your values. And I think when it comes to that conversation, it's like, well, I'm not going to be great. I'm not going to be this person. I'm not going to be, I don't know, Beyonce, whatever, had a kids and this. And I was like, Beyonce either, baby. Beyonce got 15 people cooking for the kids, taking care of the kids. She is not personally taking care of them kids.
Right. Right.
You know, what we see is what they present. If I could do that, I would too. If I could present myself as a tech guru and I really have like 20 people in the background helping me, I'd probably do the same thing. So we have to understand that it's like what we think is real is not. So what is attainable? That's my thing, is the personal choices that we do have make us powerful. That's the empowerment. That's the confidence part. Okay, so I have these kids, I have this house, I can't clean the house like I like to. Okay, what can I do? Well, would it be too bad to hire a housekeeper? Can I do that once a month, once every 2 months to help me out? Okay. And you go through whatever that comes up, whatever comes up, you know, oh, well, no, Mary can do it. This. And my thing is, let whatever come up, come up. If it's feelings of inadequacy, feelings of failure, that's going to happen. My thing is part of this self-care process is addressing those things and then getting back to what needs to be done. You see, so it's like, okay, yeah, I feel guilty. Yeah, I may get some backlash. And if I do, if somebody feels like they need to say something, I can choose whether to make that a conversation or not. But at this point right now, I want the house cleaned. And I need to figure out, I can't do it. I don't have the energy today. I'm too tired. What can I do? And so we push back on that narrative that says, well, then, you know, you're a bad mother if you can't. Why can't you?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Is just to get women to think about, think about different choices, different ways to handle it, and understanding that they are foreign to what you're used to. You're not used to asking for help. You're not used to saying, oh gosh, I need help with this. It's about learning vulnerability too. But that vulnerability in so many ways will save your life. So I feel that's what I feel like it is. It's just societal, cultural. It's this whole mindset of you can do it all if you just fill in the blank, and how you can do most of it, but you have to be counting up the cost each and every time you make that decision.
Yeah, you know, and to that point, no, it did, absolutely. And I think to your point is, in essence, if we're kind of trying to get through it, barely making it, not sitting back, taking a breath and learning how to control those emotions and those feelings and those stresses, anxieties, staying centered, that means we're not putting our all into all of the things that we're doing. So when I'm being wife, mother, daughter, sister, PTA mom, whatever you say, whatever, bill payer, like our roles are like endless, right? I feel like, in a sense, like if you're not fully healthy and you're not fully centered, you're not giving 100% to all those things. So you're maybe you're giving 50 to this one, and maybe you're giving 20 to that one, but you're doing really good on, maybe being the soccer coach, because that's something maybe a little bit more fun. So like 100% you're there. So I feel like to be successful, I mean, the roles aren't going to go away. I still have to do what I have to do, right? Like that still has to be done. I'm not trying to eliminate roles, but I think if we're healthy, we're succeeding in those roles. And then in hindsight, when we're doing well and we're succeeding at down those different paths, ultimately that feels better.
Yeah.
Right. We're rocking it. We're doing each thing and we're killing it. You know what I mean? It's not going to be perfect all the time, but you feel like you're succeeding a little bit more, like you can be proud of yourself, and that being a positive, instead of just constantly reminding yourself, I couldn't get to the vacuuming today. I couldn't get to the vacuuming today. I was focused on this and that, but I did really good in this and that. So I'll do the vacuuming tomorrow, but not letting that tear your insides out. Like, oh my gosh, I didn't get the vacuum done. I am horrible. I don't keep my house clean, because then we tend to snowball, right? We're like a species of snowballing and being dramatic.
We are. Yep. Yes.
If CPS came, they would arrest me because I have, cobwebs in the corner of the house. Right. Yeah, exactly. So Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And
I
so you
find
have,
that like,
so, uh-huh,
yeah,
go ahead.
I just think it's really positive. Like if you're fully invested in keeping yourself healthy, you're going to be performing better.
Right. Right. And you
Yeah.
actually let go of that perfectionism. Right. So now
Yeah.
incremental things mean a lot. So today, I actually, I cleaned the toilet today. Okay. And your soul satisfied with that. Like, oh, that's, and maybe next month, we'll get to the sink too. But if not, I like the way you said that. You're not, I'm a bad mom, a bad human, CVS is coming, everybody, da, 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 da. It's because nothing will have you laid out, in my opinion, more than that mess. That
Oh,
mess
yeah.
right there. And that to me is what I want to stop for women. That, okay, I did not do this one mundane task in the scale of all things. That means I'm this. No, it doesn't mean anything unless you give it that value. So if we don't give it the value of who am I as a person, so what I do, what I don't do is a measure of who I am, then I can do so many more things. Mm-hmm. I can, or not. And you're still one of the living, you're still awesome, And so we begin, like I said, you begin to be able to make choices, intentional choices of not only what you do, what you don't do, but what you think and what you don't think. Yeah. Because now it's not tied to your intrinsic value. It's not tied to who you are. Now, other people may, and that's their business. But when it comes to you, yourself, you know that you're a good mom. You know that you are a good wife. You are, whether that toilet's clean or not. Right. And like, it's not going to lead to, I'll say it like this. If the toilet's a mess, and this is a mess, and you got roaches and stuff like that, a whole lot of other things are going on, then you need a housekeeper. You got a whole bunch of other issues you need to deal with. But that's not, by and large, everybody. Everybody's like, I just didn't have time to get to it. And that's where we keep it. I didn't have time to get to it today. Like you said, we'll get to it tomorrow. We may even get to it on Thursday. And all that's okay. Because I know it's like, but it's true. All that's okay because I'm a good person. I'm not a measure of what I can or did or didn't do.
Yeah, 100%. And I think, just as a human race, I think we all do it, men and women alike. Yeah. We undervalue what we do. Mm-hmm. So when someone just cleans the toilet or just gets the vacuuming done, that's still an important thing because it needed to get done. So it's important. So I think we tend to kind of undervalue the things that we do, and it doesn't feel good. That's, to us doing things, we oh, that's not really that important. So, and I got it done, but what does that really mean? That's not giving me a medal. It's not giving me, I'm not being elected some kind of position because, you know what I mean? So I think we're kind of like definitely our own enemies when it comes to that, because we're trying to quantitatively rate ourselves all the time.
Right.
And it's like, I just want to tell myself, like, lay off.
Yeah. Because again, you got to realize you're comparing you're comparing yourself to giants. Yeah. You're comparing yourself.
And who really is that though?
That part. Part.
And who really is
who really is that?
That's in your own mind, I think.
Yeah. I was thinking about somebody his name is David Goggins, and he's like, I run.
Love him. Read all his books.
Right.
Yep.
Love it. Love his book.
Yep.
But then I caught myself like, I don't want to run 8 marathons in a week. But I was like, it's like, no, that's David's lane. Right. Is right here. Let me be the queen of this right here, as he's the king of that right there. And that's okay. Yeah. That's his thing, and his brand of hustle is great. Yeah. It wouldn't work here in my sphere. And I literally was like, man, because I was a runner at the time. I was like, man, I do that, and it's like, no, you don't do that. Because I have a funny David Goggins story, actually.
It's so funny. So I tend to do these physical challenges for myself. And Andy Frisella is another one of those in those spheres. And what he does, spheres, because what he does is he creates habits and stuff like that. So because I'm constantly trying to work on something or another, try and better myself every day. So Andy Frisella does something called 75 Hard. And it's basically like a mental and physical kind of challenge, but it's more like for habit forming and mental building. And one of the things is you have to read a nonfiction book. So I was like, oh, David Goggins, definitely going to read David Goggins' book. Now, his first one, his second one, it wasn't as good. I'm just letting you know. We have it. Still read it, got it, supported him, bought it. It was still good, but it was definitely different than the first one. So I remember reading the part where he was like, I set my mind to running, this ridiculous marathon or something like that. And he wasn't prepared and he didn't know how to prepare for it and like run for it. And this was the one where he ran it and he got all of the fractures and whatnot, like in his feet and his legs and all this kind of stuff, and ran with like basically like broken legs. So I was doing my challenge and I went on a walk. And during my walk, it's like this sky opened up. Like, and I was a good 20 minutes from home. Like there was like no way whatsoever. And I live in a very rural area. So like I don't have a lot of cell service. So I was like, all right, well, it's raining. I mean, and I'm trying to motivate myself. Like, okay, it's just rain. Casey, it's just rain. Like you're not, all right. So I'm walking. And my fiance at the time drove by. He was like, I've been like going like your normal route, just to make sure like you're okay and all this kind of stuff. And I said, no, I'm fine. And I was reading this book and I got my and I'm drenched and my clothes are sticking to my body and my sneakers are like every step, like water's flying out. I mean, it was like a torrential flooding rain. Wow. And I was like, no, if David Goggins can run with fractures, I can walk in the rain. And he was like, okay, just call me if you need me. Like, there's pushing yourself, but there's like overdoing it also. Just keep that in mind. And then he like kind of like took off and then texted me, but no, and I did it and I did do it. And I just kept talking to myself and pushing myself. So sometimes, you do have to push yourself a little bit and be a little hard on yourself. But that's so funny that you brought him up. So that was totally off key a little bit with the story. But when you said David Goggins, that's what came to my mind was that. But most of the stuff is unattainable and you have to, like you said, if it, you don't know what's behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So like if you're comparing yourself, and I think we do that as a society itself, and you're so right on point with culture and society, because we tend to look at these people, and say, well, how can they do it? Like, how come they're this and how come and we constantly compare ourselves. And that's just another layer of stuff that we put on ourselves, right? So
yes, and I mean
100%.
That was a great story because that demonstrated the point. The point was there was intentionality, right? You're like, oh, Goggins, and you made a decision right then and there to keep going forward, and now you have a great story to share and you persevered. But, if you decide to get in the car, that would have been smart too.
Smarter. Like the 4 people who looked at me that passed and was like, do you need a ride? Are you stuck?
What's happening?
And I was like, I'm fine. Like clearly not fine.
For this,
like,
right. She can't be. It's like, a blinding rain. Like
no. So it's about that balance. It's like doing what you can do, but it's also okay. So it would have been okay. I think to your point, it would have been okay if I jumped in the car. And that wouldn't have meant that I was a failure.
Not at all.
But I was very wet. I was very cold. I was very tired.
Right.
But I felt very proud of myself after.
That's a beautiful thing. Yes.
So yeah.
Yeah. And I'm proud of you for doing that too.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I don't know if I do it again, but I know that.
Right. Don't intend, please. So
exactly.
Yeah.
But Rhonda, how can people get in touch with you? Because I think we can all definitely relate and connect with what you're working on here, and could attest that like we could use your help, certainly. So how can people get in touch with you?
Okay, well, you can visit my website at www.limitlessrhondajay, all spelled out, RHONDAJAY.net. I'm also on Facebook. I'm in the process, I think, of changing the page, but for now it's Limitless Empowerment with Rhonda Jay. And then on Instagram, I am limitless_empowered. So you can just check me out there, see what's going on. And I'm going to be starting a podcast soon.
Great.
So I'll be giving out that information once I
awesome.
have my. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, if I wasn't motivated before this, I'm motivated definitely now. This is awesome.
Yay.
So yeah, I'll be starting a
Awesome.
podcast. Yes. So
Great.
yeah.
Another great way to, connect with people who maybe aren't quite ready to admit that they need help, but it's okay.
Right. Yeah, it's a process. It's a
yeah,
process.
Absolutely. Well, Rhonda, thank you sincerely from the bottom of my heart. Thank you. This was a wonderful, wonderful conversation, a wonderful episode. Fascinated with the way that you want to empower and help people. And, we'll definitely list all of your contacts when we release the episode, of course. But thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for tuning in to another empowering episode of the You World Order Showcase podcast. We hope you've enjoyed hearing from our incredible life, health, and transformational coaches who are making a profound impact on the world. Remember, change begins with you, and you have the power to transform your life and the lives of others. If you want to take that next step and unlock your true potential, visit thecoachesalchemist.com, where you can find the 3 ways we can help you for free to spin your talent into gold with clarity, a system, and a plan. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you never miss an inspiring episode. And if you enjoyed today's show, we'd greatly appreciate it if you could leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform. Your feedback means the world to us and helps us reach more people with our positive message. Stay connected with us on social media for updates, behind-the-scenes content, and upcoming guest announcements. You can find us on Facebook at the You World Order, or simply visit thecoachesalchemist.com.